Welcome to Concordia On Air, and tonight,
In news, AGT spin-off poses production.
And in sports, Soccer Concordia Junior Telvin Van named the Mayak Offensive Player of the Year.
And on arts and entertainment, the pop stars love their snakes.
all that and more on Concordia On Air. Hello,
Hello, I'm Parker,
and I'm Jackson.
and welcome to Concordia on Air. Boy, I feel a little bit of excitement and tension in the studio tonight, Jackson. Is there any reason why there might be some tense people around?
I don't know. I mean, if I were Indiana Jones, I think I'd know a little bit more.
If you were
but
Indiana Jones, so maybe if you were working, more so in a jungle environment,
yes.
there might be some critters that we might be a little bit afraid of. Okay, we'll stop joking, everyone. We have a snake in the studio
Yes.
tonight. Don't worry, snakes cannot get you through your television screens or your phone screens or any electronic screens, unless if they're a magical snake, which actually, I don't know. I met the snake earlier, and they seem pretty magical.
They can get through my screens. It's happened to me a couple times.
Has it?
Can never keep a phone longer than a week.
Okay, wow. I do not envy you. But we have a very exciting week at Concordia, other than the snakes that are in the studio tonight. Jackson, what's going on this week? What big event?
Into the woods.
Into the woods. That was really good.
I could not do any better. That's why I'm not in it. But tomorrow, November 11th, Into the Woods starts at 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock?
Yes, 7 o'clock. Get your tickets. They are free if you are a student here. If you are not a student here and not faculty, unfortunately, you will have to pay money.
But you are supporting the arts.
Yes, support the arts.
Go to Into the Woods.
Yes, November 12th, that's a Friday, same time. November 13th, same time. November 14th, I believe, is a Sunday, so that's an afternoon time at 2 o'clock.
Nice.
And then same schedule next weekend. So from the 11th to the 21st, Into the Woods will be running at our very own Francis Fraser Comstock Theater.
There's no excuse not to go. There's so many showings of it. Now, Jackson, I want us to get into the really nitty-gritty of what's going on this week. There's a forecast for something in the air. I feel like I like to play a lot on this show. Wait, there's something in the air. I'm going to be frank with everyone. I'm going to say the S word. Snow is in the air. I personally am very excited. I love snow. Winter is my favorite season. But I know there's some other people that live in this great state of Minnesota that tend to dislike winter weather. Are you a winter lover, pro-winter, anti-winter? What's your political stance?
Well, first off, let me say, I thought you were going to say love is in the air.
Okay.
But I'm certainly not disappointed that snow is definitely a close second to what I'd want
Good.
to be in the air, besides, of course, oxygen itself. But I love the snow. I'm excited.
Do you have any winter activities you're looking forward to?
Snow angels and snowmen.
That's perfect.
And women.
Yes, yeah, and snow people, right?
Snow people.
Everyone, all kinds
All
of
the
snow,
snow.
people, all the snow. I'm personally excited for cross-country skiing. If anyone wants to accompany me to go skiing this winter in Fargo at the Edgewood Chalet, I'm looking for friends. This is me calling out to the American public. Please be my friend and come skiing with me.
I'm practicing.
Are you practicing?
already
Are we going to go
practicing.
skiing? If you join Concordia on Air, people, we're all going to go skiing together. I really think that would be a big draw of joining this activity. Well, Jackson, do you have anything else to mention about the week?
No.
Okay, well, then we're going to move on with Andy and Glory for news.
It's November 10th, exactly 19 minutes after their welcome to our news today. My name is Andrew.
My name is Glory. And in news today, we have AGT spin-off poses production. The production of the America's Got Talent spin-off has been put to hold after a contestant was reportedly hurt on set. Escape artist Jonathan Goodwin was reported to be hospitalized for the accident that occurred during rehearsal. An AGT spokesperson said Gudun was injured while performing his act, but he was responsive and was rushed to the hospital. They followed up with a response saying, "Our thoughts and prayers remain with Jonathan Goodwin and his family as he continues to recover from his accident on Thursday. In order to focus on the well-being of our crew, we will be temporarily pausing production on America's Got Talent Extreme and will resume the last few days of filming at a later date."
And the international community is organizing games and fun activities to be done during the International Education Week starting November 15th. As such, one of the games is called Assassin. As the name suggests, the game involves tackling an opponent. Once the game begins, you will be assigned a completely random player. It is your goal to track the player and down and leave the mission, quote unquote. And in the meantime, keep your hand on your target's shoulder till you finish the phrase. If you successfully do this, the other player must tell you their target in confidence. Only you and the individual who you have killed should know your next target. However, while you are tracking down the target, you will also be hunted by another player. To participate, students are required to sign up by emailing their name and email to wildgeorge@col.edu. The winner will be announced at the climax of the event, Saturday, November 20th.
The US announced the launch of a publicly assembled and comprehensive global tracker of progress on battling COVID-19, from hospitalization to vaccination rates to vaccine donations pledged and delivered to bring transparency and accountability to the fight. Accessible at covid19globaltracker.org, the site will be run by the WHO, WTO, IMF, and the World Bank Group. U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken said it will help provide two critical elements for stopping the pandemic: transparency, because we need a centralized source of data, and stay ahead of COVID, and accountability, because we all need to follow through on our commitments. We have seen enough. When he was announcing the launch of the tracker at global meeting of foreign ministers on COVID-19.
And into another Thai story, earlier this afternoon, China and US pledged to work together on climate action, saying they recognize the urgency of the climate crisis. The two countries are the world's biggest emitters of carbon dioxide, and US climate envoy John Kerry says it marks a new step. Negotiations are going to overdriven in Glasgow to try and secure an ambitious agreement before COP26 ends on Friday. UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson earlier urged delegates to bring the gap between the long-term goals and immediate action to keep 1.5 alive. A draft agreement calls the government to strengthen the climate targets by the end of 2022, putting pressure on big emitters. Saudi Arabia denies in obstructing progress towards the strong deal, calling such allegations, quote, a cheat and a lie. Meanwhile, dozens of countries promised to phase out petrol and diesel-powered cars, but the US, China, and Germany didn't sign up. The story was edited by Mary Jackson and produced by the very own BBC London.
Now to India, where a layer of toxic foam coated part of the sacred river near India's capital, as Hindus gathered on its bank to celebrate a religious festival, and some devotees bathed in the waters. The white froth, a mixture of sewage and industrial waste, formed over the last week in sections of the Yamuna River, a tributary of the holy Ganges River, which flows about 855 miles, which is equivalent to 1,376 kilometers south from the Himalayas through the state. The pungent foam contained high levels of ammonia and phosphates, which can result in respiratory and skin problems. According to the experts, its arrival coincides with Chhat Puja, a festival dedicated to the sun god Lord Surya. Earlier this week, some Hindus were seen wading through the toxic foam and bathe and pray in the river. Devotee Gunjan Devi said Tuesday she had no choice but to bathe in the polluted waters. The water is extremely dirty, but we don't have many options, she said. Reuters reported it is ritual to take the bath in a water body, so we have come here to bathe. And according to Praise Trust in India, 15 boats have been deployed by the government to remove the foam, but experts fear it has already caused significant damages.
A Friday school bus driver faces an assault charge after allegedly attacked a 12-year-old student Tuesday morning. Paul Martin, 72, of Hand Lakes faces a misdemeanor count of fifth-degree assault, according to Anoka County Court documents. In a story prepared by CBS Minnesota, the school camera system recorded the incident. The complaint said, in the video, Martin can be seen running off the school bus, pushing the student and then tackling the 12-year-old student from behind. Both Martin and the student fell to the ground. Martin was on top of the student briefly before getting off the ground, according to the complaint. In response to the inhumane act, the school has terminated the driver's services. And now into an interview with Greta on exotic animal husbandry.
Oh, hello. I'm joined by a very special guest today, and that is Roxy, the snake. Now, I'm under the impression that Roxy has some questions to answer for me. Greta, your snake knows English, correct?
She does, yes.
All right. So, Roxy, what's it like being a snake?
Oh,
Uh-oh.
very intelligent.
Okay.
Wow.
I guess I'll have to change some of my interview questions. I think, Greta, I'm going to move to the questions on you. I don't
Sure.
think me and Roxy aren't really jiving right now.
And she's a little shy tonight.
So, my first question for you, Greta, is what type of work and research do you typically do with animals?
So a lot of people tend to think that the majority of the work that we do is handling the animals or any sort of cuddling, as you do with your pets. But majority of the work that we do with these critters is cleanup. So that's refreshing their enclosure with lots of water or feeding them, many cockroaches or rats, the fun, creepy crawly sort. And much of the research we've done is on the behavior, especially mating and breeding behavior. I personally did work with axolotls. Last summer, I raised about 130 baby axolotls, and I was able to watch their development because their eggs are clear, and so you can see the baby developing inside this egg, and it's very rapid. Even from one day to the next, the egg looks completely different. And in 2 weeks, it is a baby axolotl and swimming around with a tail.
Wow, interesting. What kind of snake is Roxy, if I may ask?
Roxy is a common boa.
Okay.
Her scientific name is boa constrictor. Creative, I know. She's also known as a Colombian red-tailed boa or just red-tailed boa.
All right. What really started your passion for reptiles and animals of the sorts?
Well, it started when I was probably 4 years old or 5 years old. There are many pictures of me holding frogs and toads and salamanders and, of course, snakes. I remember chasing boys around the playground with a toad or a frog. It was especially fun with snakes because, of course, little boys are terrified of snakes.
All right.
And from then it just blossomed.
What's your major, if I may ask? Does it
Yes.
have something to do with animals, or are you going to surprise me and say physical education?
It is biology.
Okay.
Biology with a communications minor. I do have a focus in wildlife biology, and I hope to go into the field of herpetology, which is the study of reptiles and amphibians.
All right. So you're doing something that's associated with your passions and not physical education. That is
Not physical
very
education.
interesting. Are there any activities you're a part of that people could be interested in joining that might hook them up with a snake as cool as Roxy?
Yes, of course. Every day now we are beginning during chapel time. we're going to bring out one of our critters and allow people to hang out with them and hear some fun facts about any critter that we have that morning. And you'll be able to interact with this critter in the atrium of the Science Center.
All right. Interesting. Very interesting. So if you are interested in getting bit by a snake, not literally, but bit by a snake figuratively, and hunting down more reptiles, when and where was that again?
The atrium of the Science Center, the Integrated Science Center.
In what times?
Chapel time.
Chapel time.
Yes.
All right. So head on down to the atrium during chapel time to meet some cool reptiles. And now to sports.
Thank you so much. And now to the sports world. Moses' interceptions in the first quarter released an avalanche of points for the Cobras in the 14-7 win at Hamlin. Concordia trailed 7-0 in the opening period of play when Moses stepped in front of a pass, made the interception, and then raced 21 yards down to the Piper 8-yard line. The Cobras scored in the very next play, which was the first 6 points of their first 41 unanswered points to finish the game. The win gives Concordia sole possession of the second place in the Skyline Division in the Mayak. The Cobras are now 4-5 overall, 3-4 in the Mayak, and 3-1 in divisions play. Hamlin falls to 3-6 overall and 1-6 in the Mayak. Concordia will finish off the 2021 season when they host Gasters in Mayak.
Soccer Concordia Junior Tovenva West Fargo was named the MISC Offensive Player of the Year, as announced in the annual conference postseason awards release. Va is the first player to ever win MIAC Offensive Player of the Year honors since the league changed the format to its top postseason player award this season. Va becomes the first Concordia player to receive a league award above all conference since Cobra Hall of Fame Todd Hashberger was named the lone MIAC Most Valuable Player in 1997. Peter Curry was also named the MIAC MVP in 1995.
And to our last bulletin tonight's marathon, senior Munir Isahak from Fagos kept his conference career by being named the Mayak Athlete of the Year in the annual League Awards press release. Isahak becomes the first Concordia student athlete to receive the Athlete of the Year award since the league started, bestowed the honor in 2003. The award has been given to the runners who wins the league the reward has been given to the runners who wins the Mayak Championship meet in each of the 18 years it has in existence. Isahak is also the first Kobaharia to win all Mayak All-Conference honors since Tom Sandquist finished 5th in 2011. And now into a package about Koba bikes.
The Cobb Bike program offers a sustainable form of transport for all Concordia students looking to travel around campus and beyond. We had the opportunity to visit with David Kelm, the transportation intern, and Gabrielle Lummel, the sustainability coordinator on campus.
That program started in the early 2010s. We initially started out with about 12 bikes, and from there we got a donation from Trinity Lutheran Church, and that gave us 8 more bikes.
Cobbers are able to check out any of the 20 bikes using their student ID in the Carl B. Library from the information desk.
You ask if you can check out a bike. They might give you some options if you need a smaller sized bike. We have specifically smaller sized bikes, bigger bikes, we have bigger bikes, but they're all adjustable as well. So you just go in, you ask for a key, keys 1 through 20, and you check it out the same way you would a book.
All of the bikes are located in front of the Anderson Commons and Knutson Campus Center. It is here that the bikes are housed from early spring into late fall when they are put away for the remainder of the semester. After the student checks out the bikes, they have up to 24 hours to use them wherever they would like in the Fargo-Moorhead area.
The Cobb Bike program is a really positive program. It seems to be utilized by a lot of students. The Fargo-Moorhead community is really bikeable, so you can get anywhere you need to go.
We definitely have a lot of people who want to go to Hornbachers. There's a lot of people who just want to go for a bike ride on Fridays, and you can return the keys in just the book drop box as well, which is really nice. So you can do them when the library closes at 6. You can just put your key in the book drop and you can take them out. And so we definitely have a lot of student engagement just to get to sort of your 20 below or third drop or something like that. I mean, it is definitely a more sustainable way to get around if you're just going to a coffee shop, and especially getting to Hornbachers, just to get groceries if you want to pick up some bread, anything, and not having to use public transit or your own personal car. That's a big thing. It's a sustainability initiative because it is, we're looking at how we can reduce our carbon footprint, which is what the Cobb Bikes do.
The campus is also trying to increase engagement by offering events for students to participate in.
We'll have an event coming up in a couple weeks on November 4th. We're going to invite students to check out a bike and bike to one of the local parks. And it just gets students who haven't used the bikes before familiar with them. And if they're nervous about biking in the community, they can always reach out to myself or David, who's the transportation intern, and we can walk them through the steps on how to check them out, maybe some bike safety practices and things like that, just to let them know that there are resources out there if they haven't biked in the community before.
This is Andrew and Solomon with Court on Air.
One boy, do we have a segment for you tonight. We have the wonderful Greta with us on set, and Roxy, who is just like the most kind snake I have ever met before. I've not met many snakes that are actually snakes, but boy, Greta is Greta. Greta, are you a snake? No, I'm sorry, Roxy's a snake. Well, you could be a snake too, Greta. I don't know her super well. Just joking, of course. All right, let's talk about snakes in media. Greta, do snakes get a good rap?
Never, I think.
You know what? I would say the same thing too. Every time a pop star is entering kind of their more like angsty, era where they're releasing an album that's maybe a little bit more like Screw the Man, that kind of vibe associated with it, they often use snakes in the imagery. Do you have any possible idea of why snakes would be associated with hardcore, like opting outside of the main frame, that kind of idea?
I believe that it stems from religion and the idea of the snake that told Eve to eat the apple, the forbidden fruit. And then the snake was probably associated with Satan or demons, and going against the status quo, of course, being rebellious and cool.
Yeah, okay. Today, if there's anything that I want you to take away from arts and entertainment today, it's that snakes are not bad, snakes are not your enemy. Snakes are quite nice. I mean, Roxy is proving for me that snakes are wonderful. So as far as some pop stars that I have behind me that have featured snakes within some of their imagery, of course, I think the most popular one we have right in the middle here, Britney Spears, and her performance at the MTV Music Awards back in 2003, I believe it was, where she actually featured a ginormous yellow snake on her shoulders. Do you know what type of snake this is?
I wish I knew.
It's some kind of snake. Maybe a cousin to Roxy, we're not sure, or maybe more of a distant relative to Roxy.
Very likely a python.
A python.
Pythons are the ones to get really big.
Really, really big. Okay, interesting. It was spooky. So we have Britney Spears during her circus era, kind of showing that she's liberated from her her traditional pop music, and she's doing something that's a little bit more like gritty, down and dirty, kind of that idea. Of course, we have Taylor Swift. She, in my book, probably did the worst for snakes. I love T Swift. But boy, when she entered her Reputation era after the fallout with Katy Perry and Kanye and Kim, she definitely really loved using, the color black in her clothing and then snakes to go along with it. She had multiple snake pins. Do you listen to Taylor Swift at all?
I have listened to Taylor Swift, but she's not my number one, and that's okay.
In other news, she is re-releasing her Red album this Thursday at midnight or 11 o'clock Central Standard Time, everyone. Be listening to that. It'll be good. But when she re-releases Reputation, where she features a lot of snakes in her imagery, think twice. We'll consider, what does that actually do for snakes? Okay, and then the other pop star we have, I just added her because I love her so much. Phoebe Bridgers really has not done anything wrong other than dating Paul Mescal. I'm sure we're all very, very jealous about that. But she is featured here right before she released her Punisher album. She was featured in some of her cover photos with snakes. And I know Punisher. Have you listened to Punisher at all?
I have listened
How
to
would you
Punisher.
describe it? How would you describe the vibe of that album?
Gritty and kind of angry.
Yeah,
you
definitely
know?
angry against her dad in a lot of songs.
Most definitely.
Or just men in general, which I mean, I think we can all sympathize with, right? But I really do love how it just is like a constant theme that snakes equal evil and bad, which I don't think is the case. So you have never held this mentality against snakes. When did you really start feeling comfortable with snakes being around you?
I believe it was the first time I met a domesticated snake who was just a corn snake, known to be the most docile of all of the snakes. And really, they're just kind of stupid little babies.
Yeah.
And they
Good to
know
know.
nothing. And they're mostly just curious and like to smell things. And
That-
that's about it. That's
So
all that
kind
goes
of
on.
like dogs in a way.
Most definitely,
Oh
just
my
like dogs.
goodness. Snakes have dog energy, everyone. Come on, newsflash. Let's get it together. Snakes are not your enemy. So I'm so glad. It's been such a pleasure having you in the studio tonight, Greta. Seriously. And you too, Roxy, right? It's been so fun getting to meet this animal here. How can we keep on, how can everyone become more or less scared of snakes? Like what are some action steps we can think of?
Well, I think you could visit me in ISC sometime. I do often just walk around with her. She very much likes the plant wall, the living wall. So you could come say hi to me, or you could do some research of your own on snakes. I particularly like following snake accounts on social media, like Instagram accounts, that feature snakes, especially hognose snakes. They're just so cute with their little nose.
Really? Okay. I've learned so much about snakes today. Never did I ever think that this would just be something so poignant in my frame of mind. This morning I did not wake up and I did not think my TV has decided to say no more to the snakes too. That's good. That's good. Never did I think I would know so much. Do you have any last comments for us, Greta?
I just think everyone should love snakes. They're very anti-anxiety, so you know how we're all anxious these days. I think everyone should hang out with a snake. Just maybe once.
No, I like that. And Roxy, do you have anything else to say? She is a diva. Anyways, thank you everyone for joining us tonight on Concordia on Air. Have a fantastic rest of your week, and we'll see you next week. Goodbye.